This is All India Radio. In the program Spotlight, now we bring you a discussion on Digital India Awards 2022, Story of India's Digital Transformation. The participants are Pawan Duggal, Cyber Security Expert, and Lalima Aneja Dang, AIR Correspondent.
Recently, Digital India Awards were presented by the Honorable President of India, Mrs. Draupadi Murmu. And like any other award, this was also a positive reinforcement. Pavanji, what was the purpose of Digital India program when it was initiated by the Government of India way back in 2015? Of course, we know that it has made an impact as far as governance is concerned. There is transparency, there is inclusiveness, efficiency in governance. What would you say on that?
If I was to look at India in 2014 and I was to compare that to India in 2023, I would find two different nations altogether. Because India in 2023 is a much more confident, digitally connected, digitally empowered nation, working more in the direction of complete digitization of the nation at large. Actually, when the Government of India came up with the Digital India project in 2015, that was a new concept. Technology had been with India for the last almost many decades, but never had the government ever realized the need for recognizing technology as a great catalyst and mover for the growth of a nation and also. And that's why when the concept of Digital India emerged, it was a new paradigm altogether. The idea was to use digital technologies for the purposes of not just digital empowerment of digital stakeholders and citizens, but more significantly for the purposes of delivering various e-governance-related services in the digital mode to the normal citizens of the country within the comfort of their own homes. So pursuant to the Digital India program getting started, the government got busy and started initiating various programs, strategies, initiatives so as to provide different kinds of electronic governance services to the citizens of the country at large. And now with the coming of COVID-19, the significance of the Digital India program has become even more pronounced. Because when COVID-19 came, it was not just public health emergency, it was a pandemic, it was also a cyber pandemic. And in a scenario like this, the relevance of electronic governance services in the digital ecosystem came to dawn upon the nation, specifically its users. So when the entire country was locked down, it was only the internet that was the common joining link between Indians at large, and it was using the same methodology of internet that we found that the government was successful in fostering and delivering various electronic governance services to the citizens at large. Today, when I talk in 2023, I think India has reached a reasonable level of maturity as far as the adoption of the digital format is concerned. But the Digital India program is still in a work in progress, in the sense that we have become digitized in a number of areas, but still there are a lot of other areas of electronic governance that have yet to be specifically focused. The ultimate vision is that the entire India gets digitally connected with the government, makes use of the digital services provided by the digital government, and makes the best constructive use of digital technologies, not just for saving their own cost, time, money, effort, energy, but more significantly for thrusting India onto a new wave of digital empowerment in the times to come.
Yes, Pavanji, I think you put it right, that it's actually the key word is empowerment of the citizens. And you're absolutely right in saying that COVID made the common citizen realize the importance of digital currency and digital payment. Well, DBT was probably among the first offshoot of Digital India. And when the Honorable Prime Minister insisted that everyone has a bank account through the Jan Dhan account medium, even with zero balance, you could start an account. It was a little later that people realized that whether it was a subsidy or whether it was the 6,000 rupees being given to the farmer, all that was happening through direct bank transfer and thereby bypassing the middleman and thereby reducing corruption. Would you agree on that?
The Digital India program, you're right, has completely transformed the way how government payments are being given to the respective recipients. Prior to the Digital India program, India was representing a different ground reality altogether. In fact, many decades earlier, there used to be a common saying that if 100 rupees is dispersed by the Government of India, it's only 10 rupees that ultimately reaches out to the final recipient. It has a lot of leakages on the way. But the coming of the Jan Dhan Yojana, the coming of the various electronic governance initiatives of the present government had one most significant game-changing moment. And that was to ensure that the payments of the government will be given directly into the accounts of the recipient. They're bypassing all the middlemen and all the leakages that was happening in the ecosystem at large. And that's one particular big electronic governance initiative that has not just caught the imagination of people at large, but more significantly has once again reaffirmed their confidence and the trust and ability of the digital revolution to deliver concrete results. Because when people started seeing money arriving directly into their bank account without any pilferage, that was the single most significant catalyst event that convinced people that they need to now jump on to the benefits of the digital bandwagon and that they need to assist the government in move of transforming India into a digital nation. That's why Digital India program has also been a big success for a variety of reasons. Number one, it's been the vision of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who sought to envisage and visualize India as a digital nation through the concept of Digital India. But all kudos have also to be given to the government of India for taking a variety of initiatives that all meant digitize India and digitize electronic governance services in India. And finally, I think all salutations have also given to Indian users, Indian citizens who started tasting the benefits of the digital revolution as they started seeing concrete payments coming into their accounts, and they started seeing more and more electronic governance services being successfully delivered using the digital ecosystem by the government onto the ultimate consumers. Ultimately, it's all these various stakeholders that really started joining hands together and contributing in the development and further evolution of the Digital India program. Today, we are at a reasonable level of maturity as far as the maturity of the nation on digitization is concerned. The coming of COVID-19 has further helped us because more and more Indians have now been thrust onto the digital bandwagon. But I think much more needs to be done. These are only the initial days where we have just laid the foundations of the Digital India as a nation concept. As and when we land up doing other programs, they will be building on the successes of the initial pillars and foundations that have actually been laid down by the Digital India program. So all said and done, the India program has been a life game changer as far as the Indian nation is concerned in terms of catapulting India and thrusting India into a new era of digitization.
Absolutely. Actually, when the program started, when everyone was talking about Digital India right in the beginning, we would not have imagined, none of us would have imagined what great impact it would have had on our lives at the grassroots level. Talking about the grassroots level, Pavanji, more than 70% of our country's population lives in rural areas. Do you think that we have been able to include them as far as internet or rather high-speed internet is concerned? Do we have the digital infrastructure in villages also? Is there digital literacy in place in the far-flung areas? You said we are mature, but we still have way to go. Is it still a work in progress?
Digital India as a concept is still a work in progress. Why? Because of the huge size of the Indian nation, because of the huge size of the Indian population. And mind you, as per a UN survey, by 2023, India will become the most populous nation in the world, bypassing. So imagine you're going to have the most number of people any country is going to have. Therefore, the challenges of delivering electronic governance services actively and without any disruption or interference is going to be a huge challenge as we go specifically forward. In this context, I particularly believe that the biggest challenge will be how will we connect up all the Indians in the rural sector till bandwagon. The good news is that with the coming of COVID-19, people in the rural areas are already using all kinds of mobiles, internet connectivity. India has already now launched the 5G in a select number of cities. In the next 2 years, we should see this 5 networks proliferating across India, including in the rural sector. And of course, the government of India is giving various encouragements to the service providers to mandatorily provide these kind of 5G and other related telecom services in the rural area. We have the Universal Services Obligation Fund that's repeatedly being used for the purposes of funding these kinds of various initiatives. But still, we have to realize that it's a long way. To realize that Rome was not built in one day, and that the concept of Digital India is not going to be achieved in just about 6 or 7 years of its existence. It's a work in progress, but yes, if the intentions of the government are honorable and they're pretty focused on completely transforming India into a digital powerhouse, if they are focusing on the ultimate digital empowerment, that I think is the right step in the right direction. But as a nation, we have to be mindful of the fact that there are various challenges that are waiting for us on the way as we move in the direction of transforming Digital India into reality. Number one, the biggest problem that I'm currently seeing is a huge quantum of cyber attacks that have happened on the critical information infrastructure and electronic governance ecosystem of the country. Cyber security breaches have become the new normal. Also, with the coming of COVID-19, the golden age of cybercrime has already arrived. And this golden age of cybercrime will be with India for the next many decades. We have to be mindful of the fact that in India, people are bleeding in terms of their money and finances, primarily because they are now being made victims of all kinds of cyber crimes, whether it's hacking, whether it's damage to computer source code, whether it's phishing, whether it's online financial fraud, or whether it's identity theft. So India needs to very quickly move forward and deal with the challenges thrown up by growing cybersecurity breaches and growing cyber crimes in the Indian context. We have to be mindful of the fact that though India already has in place the Indian Cyber Law, being the Information Technology Act, the time has come where we now need to go ahead and amend this law just to make it more powerful, more relevant, and more topical in today's context.
We're talking about the rural areas. I was thinking of the common service centers, which are of great advantage in providing digital literacy to the people. You talked of challenges, and you talked very interestingly of cybersecurity. We know a hospital was under attack, and that was a kind of a wake-up call. And as you said, we have a new act coming, and that should take care of all these loose ends. Do we have a problem of human resource? Of course, we are an IT hub in the world, and we are providing IT services to most of the countries in the world. Is there a human resource problem there, or are we fine with it?
I think India has a huge human resource problem in terms of having the requisite, newly qualified human resources which can go ahead and contribute in the further making and evolution of the digital India nation. And in India, digital skills are still not being imbibed at the speed with which the nation is required. A couple of years back, there was a survey which said that India requires every year 5 lakh cybersecurity professionals. This version of the survey tells us that every year India now requires 10 lakh cybersecurity professionals. So the reality is that as a nation, we are only dishing out about a couple of lakh people as cybersecurity professionals. So the demands are constantly increasing. The time has come that we will have to now start inculcating cybersecurity as a way of life in the Indian ecosystem. The time has come where we must start being appropriate impetus and growth to cyber capacity building. More so in the scenario that's emerged post-COVID-19. The time has come where we will now have to start inculcating cyber law and cyber security education as part of the school curriculum from the first standard onwards. Because India has started giving devices to its children at very young ages from 2 to 3 years old. And this is like tantamounting to throwing your youngsters in a deep sea full of sharks without even telling them or without even training them how to swim. So the time has come that we will have to start focusing much on cyber capacity building. The government has been doing its remarkable work in this space. It's been coming up with new initiatives. It's now already coming up with a new Digital India University. It will be a digital university where all kinds of digital initiatives will be permitted under electronic education purposes. Further, India is also in the process of opening up to new international universities, opening up the campuses in the country. So the need for capacity building is immense, and we need to concentrate far more, both in terms of time, money, effort, and resources as a nation.
Right. That's quite heartening to note that 28,000 people have enrolled in the cyber law arena. Well, the corollary to Digital India is artificial intelligence and data analytics. We can talk more on that. But as we say, that it must reach the bottom of the pyramid, which is actually reaching. And they say that the sale of toffees has come down because a common man is paying digitally. So remember those days when 1 rupee meant, okay, ek toffee le jao at the shop. So that also shows that we are progressing in the Digital India front at the grassroots level. And as you said that, yes, cybersecurity laws are being tightened. That's also very heartening. Has the fact that Digital India is making now great strides also improved employment opportunities? Pavanji?
The Digital India program has given a great impetus to employability. Why? Because the digital ecosystem has now presented new kinds of employment opportunities and perspectives. New data centers are coming up in India, which is requiring more manpower. Digital jobs are emerging, whether it's in terms of content creation, whether it's in terms of being influencers, whether it's in terms of people working in the social media ecosystem, or people which are working in BPO or ITES related sectors per se. I think there's far more new jobs on cybersecurity, far more new jobs on newly emerging technologies like artificial intelligence, blockchain of things. So all said and done, the Digital India program has acted like a catalyst in terms of providing yet another arena of creating more jobs and employment in the digital sector for Indians at large.
Thank you very much, Pavanji, for talking to us and updating us with your views.
Thank you.
You were listening to a discussion on Digital India Awards 2022, Story of India's Digital Transformation. The participants were Pavan Duggal, cybersecurity expert, and Lalima Aneja Dang, AIR correspondent. This program was produced and presented by the News Services Division of All India Radio. You can listen to it on our mobile app, News on AIR. This program is also available on our YouTube channel, News on AIR Official. You may email your opinion about this program at airnsdtalks@gmail.com.